What up, world? Welcome to another episode of I Bleed Sports. As you know, I am the host, Brandon Janeau, and like always, on all podcast platforms everywhere, Brandon Janeau Show. Social media, Instagram and Threads, Brandon Janeau, just Brandon Janeau. You will see. Okay. Let's see. Get this. Okay. No, wait. This way. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the logo. You'll see the logo on the Instagram and Threads. Oh, good God Almighty. Brand Janeau on Instagram and Threads. I gotta learn that. I gotta get better at that. Oh Jesus. Um, Facebook is the Brand Janeau Show, of course. Uh, and of course, uh, TikTok, Brandon Janeau Show. TikTok is Brandon Janeau Show. Go there. Go to all those pages. Uh, Follow me on those pages. All those social media pages. Oh yeah, I got an X, which is B Janeau on X. So go there and also, you know, follow me on there too. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, man. Brandon Janeau Show is the YouTube channel, man. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just hit 200 subscribers, so I'm doing something right. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Like I said, tonight it's Tuesday, so you already know it's I Bleed Sports. Um, Shit has been happening, man. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I will be talking about the trades that have just happened in the NFL today. We'll be talking about that. Um, I will also be talking about, of course, college football, giving you my players that are going up and my players and teams that are down bad this week for college football. We're giving you my crazy six again, crazy week. Shit changed. Gotta, of course, change with it. Eyes on college football for week 8 in the college football season. And of course, NFL, not just, talking about the trades. I will be talking about, of course, my big four of the NFL coming into week 7. And of course, my levels of warning in the NFL, man. Let's get into it, man. But it's been a crazy week for sports in general. I mean, basketball is literally around the corner. Next Tuesday, I think it starts. Yeah, next Tuesday. So we'll start. Of course, I got the Saints game this Thursday. So I will be recording Bleed Black and Gold Thursday. That episode will be out. So I will be doing. Usually I do Saints games on a Sunday. So Sunday I will be doing my NBA preview show. I'll be doing what I did last year. Just do it this year for the NBA preview show. I gotta go back in my notes and see what I did last year and then give it to you guys this upcoming week. So hopefully you guys have that out Monday of next week. That'll be the first episode for Monday um, next week. But yeah, basketball's around the corner. The playoffs are heating up in baseball. Both uh, conferences, and um, the championship rounds. NL, AL, game 2 of the ALCS starts tonight between the Yankees and the Guardians, so I'll be talking about that. And of course, crazy ass fucking fight this past Saturday. I'll give you my thoughts on Benavidez and Bivol. How I feel about the fight, what I feel about the win of Benavidez, what did I feel about what it should have been, all these things. But let's get into it, man. Um, Shout out to the WNBA too. They're also in there. They're in the WNBA finals right now. They're playing for the championship. The Liberty and the Lynx. I think they're in game 2. I think game 3 might be tonight, if I'm not mistaken. It's tied series. Game 1 was wild. Went into overtime. Brown Story had a chance, I think, to either win it or tie it and put it back in another overtime. But the Lynx walked out of game 1. They took one in New York. Now the series shifts to Minnesota. Um, Listen, I think the Liberty are going to figure it out. I think the Liberty are going to win. I think the Liberty are better. So Sabrina Nescool, Brianna Story. Brianna Story is a what 3-4 time WNBA MVP. I mean, like but not to put any shade on the Lynx. The Lynx are fucking amazing too. I think the Lynx are an incredible team and how they play with one another is amazing. So it's gonna be a hell of a series, man. This is already a hell of a series. It's already tied 1-1, so we shall see how that's gonna actually continuously go. Um, let's go to baseball, man. All right, so baseball is about to get something that they haven't had in a long time. I saw yesterday. I can't remember. It was ESPN, a Bleacher Report that sent the dropped the notification. But it seems that it's been an uptick in playoff viewership this year for the MLB playoffs, and for good reason. I mean, you have the Yankees, you have the Dodgers, you have the Mets, you had the Phillies, you had the Astros at one point, you had you know the Padres, you had teams like the Tigers, who nobody really knew if they were going to be there. You had the Brewers with the Midwest feel. I said the Phillies. You had some good teams in the playoff mix. I mean, this year compared to last year, how it all turned out and all ended for the baseball. And baseball's about to get something they haven't had in a long time: coverage. As much as we talk about the playoffs of baseball, as much as baseball has become, baseball's great and everything, baseball, like I've said for years, baseball has been trying to get the World Series that looks like it may be happening this year, which is the Yankees and the Dodgers. They have literally been trying to get this World Series for like a decade now. For like a decade now. And you are now officially in a situation where you could possibly get it this year. Now, I've been very vocal and I have been very honest and said to on my podcast and any place me and my brother Juan have done our shows that I have no faith in the Yankees or the Dodgers. But they got lucky this year, and I'm gonna say that. I think now here's the thing. I think the Mets and the Dodgers series is going seven. I think the Mets have extreme amount of toughness, and that's hard to get rid of. You can't get rid of a team that has heart, and also have the sixth best payroll in the goddamn MLB. So there goes that too. Um, but the MLB is about to get two things in one. Either you're gonna get the matchup that you've always wanted, which is the Yankees and the Dodgers. Finally, you get coastal, contempt. Either you're a Dodgers fan or a Yankees fan. You know, and so you're gonna get eyeballs to the TV set, or you get what probably unexpected, but still will give people a reason to watch, and that's the Subway Series. You can actually finally get, for the first time in almost 23 years, it will be the Yankees and the Mets for the championship. The last time the Yankees and the Mets met in the World Series was 2001, and we all know what happened in 2001. So it's crazy that that can be the World Series, but that could be the World Series. Last time the Yankees and the Dodgers met in the World Series was the 80s. So MLB is about to get something from going from a World Series last year that nobody gave a fuck about. And no offense to the Rangers or the Diamondbacks, it just we didn't we didn't care. Nobody cared about that series, like talking about it. But this is different. Like this is what the MLB has pretty much been trying to galvanize for a decade. They've been pushing this agenda of the Yankees and the Dodgers being the best two teams, and now you have a third team that nobody's even thought of, and that's the Mets. This is heaven for the MLB. This is literally heaven for the MLB. You have literally the what, two of the top three MLB payrolls in baseball in the Dodgers and the Yankees. And then you have a top 10 payrolls with the Mets. Now, I know people are going to sit there and say, well, Brandon, the Yankees still have to get through the Guardians, right? Like, why are you not talking about the Guardians? My thing with this is the Guardians went 5 games with the Tigers. And granted, it is a divisional team. So I get that the familiarity of the Guardians and the Tigers. I get that, but at the same time, the Tigers literally have one ace, and you saw in Game Five when you got to him early, the Tigers really didn't have shit else, and that was the thing. Not saying the Guardians can't beat the Yankees tonight. I think they can. I mean, it's baseball. Anything is possible. But I would say this. I don't. It's either going to be a sweep or it's going to be a gentleman sweep. I can see the Guardians maybe taking. I could never see them taking one in Cleveland. I can. I don't know if they have the 2-3-2 format like baseball basketball used to have, where it's like you know the first two games are in New York, the next three are in Cleveland, and then the next two in New York to close it out. I don't know if this is the 2-3-2 format. I gotta check. But if it's not, if it is, then I think Cleveland could at least they can get one. I know they could. I can guarantee you probably get one. I don't know if you get two. I think they can because they're at home and you're at home. The crowd woos you, and of course the Yankees are gonna probably be like, man, let's just get to New York so we can close this shit out. But I definitely feel like the Mets and the Dodgers are gonna sell it. I think the Mets have heart. The Dodgers have a payroll. This shit's gonna get interesting. This shit gonna get interesting. I put that on there. That shit's gonna get interesting. But like I said, baseball is going to get exactly what they want, which is baseball is going to get exactly what they want in two situations: either the Yankees and the Mets. You finally get what you've really been trying to get the entire time, and that is Dodgers and Yankees. Baseball about to eat good. Baseball is about to eat good. Saturday. Saturday was beautiful. That was a hell of a fight. Benavidez and Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. Those two men went to war. In a decision, uh, a majority decision, and it went to Benavidez. One of the judges do what judges do in boxing. 116, 112. I'm like, the fuck was you looking at? Like, they had one judge that had 114, 114, which, and then you had one judge with 115, 113. Watching that fight Saturday was incredible. Now I've heard takes of all people on this. Um, I watched that whole fight, every moment of that fight. Um, and this is where I feel like for a lot of people that this is the telltale sign of who's actually watching boxing and who's just a casual. Now, me personally, I can see how one of the judges have it 115, 113 because you gave a round to Bivol more. But my eyes, what I saw was a draw. I felt like that was a draw. I will say this though: the 11th round, Bivol flat out lost that shit. Bivol flat out fucking lost that round. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I'm watching that shit and I'm like, is he just trying to get him tired? Like, cause he's throwing punches. Like he was tagging Bivol. Benavidez was fucking Bivol up in that 11th round. He was whooping his ass. Bivol's walking to him like this, blocking, but he's tagged. Like I'm like, The fuck strategy is that? I guess they were trying to get him tired, but that don't even make fucking sense. Like it just the only round I could flat out say Bivol straight out just fucking lost was the 11th round. Like just absolutely just did not show up in the 11th round. I'm like, I'm watching that shit. I'm like, you're trying to tire him out and get him to the late round, the last round, and then apply the pressure. But that was a telltale sign of, you know what that fight reminded me of? It's like the obvious fights, right? Of boxing, right? It's the actual boxer versus the power, the power guy. And that's what that fight felt like. It felt like Benavidez had the power, and we knew he had the power. Bivol knew he had the power. But here's what I think people also are not also understanding is, yes, Benavidez was fucking Bivol up, but when Bivol actually planted his feet and threw back at him, he was catching Benavidez a lot. He was fucking him up, like tagging his ass. And that's why I feel like a lot of people that's sitting there saying Benavidez just won is like, I don't know what you was watching. But I'm also not in the camp of Benavidez, Bivol just absolutely also won. I can see how you would feel that way because again, you're watching it like the perspective I was watching it from. I was cool with having it be a draw because I feel like when Bivol planted his feet and actually decided to throw with Benavidez, not only did he hit him, he tagged him. He got him. He got him a couple of times. And you could tell it was fucking up Bivol a little bit, like Benavidez a little bit, cause sometimes he would just and he was just like, what the fuck, like, and he had to reset, and then he had like then get in, like didn't get in the gauge again. It was just like, what the fuck? That is the thing. Like I thought it was a draw. I thought it was a draw. Some people sit there and say, well, uh, uh, Benavidez really just, when he put the pressure on, he pressured Bivol. He did. He did. I'm not gonna say any lie. But I feel like what people also are losing me is this wide thought process that like Benavidez just outwardly dominated Bivol, and that's not even the case either. But also, where I think also people are losing it, me also, is that it's clear Bivol won. It's like no, I thought it was a draw. So I was more on the side of the 114-114 because I felt like that was a draw. I felt like the first three rounds was all Bivol. Then I would say by like the fourth, fifth, sixth, Benavidez took it. Yep, yep. About four, fifth, sixth, Benavidez took it. Seven, eight, nine was a toss up, but I felt like seven, eight, Bivol took that. 9, 10 was a toss up. 11, Benavidez just beat the shit out of Bivol. Beat the shit out of Bivol. In the 12, you could have thrown that anyway. But if you wanted to give the rounds I just said, like the 9-10 to Benavidez, then that's a top. Then Benavidez gets it. I feel like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like 7 could have went. Like, it was such a wild fight. But again, like I said, like when Benavidez set his feet and decided to throw with him, he threw with him. And that's the thing. Like when he and another thing was Benavidez Bivol did this a lot in the Canelo fight, which was he stayed on the ropes a little bit too much, but he couldn't bully him like he bullied Canelo. He kind of stayed on the ropes a little bit too much for my liking. When he stayed in the middle of the ring, he was getting with Benavidez. He was tagging him. But yeah, once he put the pressure, but the 11th round, man, that shit was bad. I'm like, that shit reminded me of Lomachenko and Haney. Like that's why when people tell me like, oh, Haney lost that fight, I can literally point out the rounds. You could tell me why he lost that fight. That like the not the was it the 11th? It was like the 10th or 11th round when Lomachenko just beat the shit out of Devin, and you just sitting there like, God damn, motherfucker, move! Like, what are you doing? The difference is Benavidez didn't take his foot off the gas in the 12th. Lomachenko did, and that's the thing. So I thought it was a draw. I thought it was a draw. Uh, like I said, 9-10 could go anyway. Um, I feel like the first three was Bivol. The 4, 5, 6 was Benavidez. 7, 7, 8, 9. You know, 10, 11. 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 could have gone anyway. 11 was just all Benavidez, and then 12. Benavidez really didn't. Yeah, he tagged him a couple times, but I feel like Bill stood his ground and he beat him in the 12. But yeah, yeah, it was a crazy fight, man. But I thought it was a draw. I thought it was a straight up draw. But Benavidez took it, and I'm not. And if I was gonna score it, I probably would have given it to Bill. I'm not gonna lie, and it would have been 15-13, and I would have probably leaned it to Bill because again, as much as people say, "Oh, he ran" or whatever the case may be, when he put the clamps down, he was landing them with clean up shots. He was hurting them. He was hitting them. And there was times where you could see Bill Benavidez get tagged, and he kind of was like, "Whoa, whoa, okay, hold on." And I think and I think also Bivol um had better footwork. They both were great defensively. That was a hell of a defensive fight, but I think Bivol had better footwork. So yeah, I thought it was a draw though. I can't wait. I think they do need to run it back. That was too close to call. Um, yeah. All right, college. College football is getting into something that is very, very, very cool about college football right now, and that is that college football is starting um, to give us the prime games now, and that's great. And it's the one thing about submerging a lot of these teams and coming into these conferences because excuse me, a lot of these teams like Penn State, USC, Ohio State, Oregon, you get games like that, and then you get still your regular games like Saturday where you had LSU and Ole Miss. You almost see an upset of Alabama playing against South Carolina, which I kind of felt like South Carolina could get Alabama. Not gonna lie, but yeah, Florida almost upsetting Tennessee, which again, that's a classic SEC East, um, you know, rivalry game. So, but players and teams that's going up, but players and teams that are down bad this week. Let's get into it. Let's start with the positive, and that is Dylan Gabriel, quarterback for Oregon. I did not think this kid was going to do good in Oregon. I know. But I saw him at Oklahoma the last couple of years, and I'm like, really? I guess. And he went from what? I think he was at UCF. Then he was at Oklahoma, and then he's now at Oregon. So I didn't think he was going to do good in Oregon. I'll be honest. But he has superseded, situations this season. I wanted to see him in a big time game like this, and he showed up. He showed up. He won the game for Ohio State. Congratulations. And listen, I still don't know what this team is. Oregon beating Ohio State does not tell me a lot. Like I said last week about all of those teams, they're just waiting for the knockout punch for someone. Oregon landed the punch on our Ohio State. Who's to say Oregon plays Penn State in a couple weeks in Penn State? And who's to say if this game was in Ohio State's not the victor. And I'm talking about, Will Howard. You know what I'm saying? So, who's to say? So Daniel 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 Gabriel is uh Dylan Gabriel is the victor. And congratulations. Um, which jury still out on Oregon for me personally, but you won. Congratulations. A player that's down bad this week just so happens to also be moving into the Big Ten, and that is Miller Moss of USC. From your heroics against LSU in week one to now, USC's offense has become average at best. Average at best. Um, there's no way in hell, and we can stop this now. Lincoln Riley has coached Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. Who else? Who else he had? Here's somebody else. I can't remember. Keller Williams. I know Keller Williams. Spencer Rattler. He's had some quarterbacks in his system, and every quarterback that he's had has had somewhat of success in his system, especially the first fucking year that they take over in his system. So why is Miller Moss struggling? And you've been on the team for like 2, 3 years. Why are you struggling? Why are you struggling? Every quarterback that has started for Lincoln Riley the first year has either won a Heisman or was runner up. Why are you struggling, sir? Why are you struggling? I don't get it. I don't understand it. You went from doing all that, doing the L down and all that shit after the first week. Your team has lost 2 consecutive games since then. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Team that's going up is the Oregon Ducks. Listen, I don't know if Oregon's head coach planned to do what he did in that game, put the 12 minutes on the field, but yet took, I think, what, 6 seconds off the clock, 4 seconds off the clock, 4 to 6 seconds off the clock against Ohio State. I don't know if that was a plan thing he did. He's going to clearly take the credit for it. He's going to clearly take the credit for it, but I don't know if that was actually a plan thing or he just straight up just didn't know they had 12 fucking people on the field. Either way it goes, people are going to credit him for that because they won the game. With that being said, Oregon won. You beat Ohio State. Congratulations. You won by a point, but congratulations. The thing about Oregon is what I've been saying about the Big Ten. Every team in the Big Ten feel like they're still missing something. And they're just waiting for somebody to punch them the fuck out. I don't think Oregon's winning the championship this year. By no stretch of imagination. I don't think Ohio State or Penn State is winning the championship this year. By no stretch of imagination. Because I feel like once you play a team that can stop the one thing you do very well, you're gonna lose. Y'all defenses are not that great. Don't get it twisted. Your defenses are not that great. And your offenses, if they don't have explosive plays, they're kind of a sitting fucking duck. But congratulations. A team that's doing bad, down bad this week I should say, is the Utah. Is Utah, man, oh man, oh man. First off, Cam Rising, listen. dude, you're going into what, your seventh, 8th year in college? You're not getting anything out of this. There's no scout that's going to watch your tape in the 8th year of your college year and say, oh man, that's a franchise quarterback. Fuck out of here. The older you get in college, the more people are going to be more looking at you like, what the fuck? Yeah, you might be Brock Purdy in the next 2, 3 years. But that's again in 2 or 3 years. Like you still got to get to the league, bro. And that's the thing. Utah was ranked, and now Cam Rising again is hurt, and now they're talking about maybe giving him another year of eligibility. And it's like, bro, at some point, at some point. Now here's the crazy part about the Big 12, right? Because Utah's now in the Big 12. Kansas State, um, the team I'm about to talk about in my crazy six, Colorado. I said this earlier in the season. I felt like Utah could win the Big 12. I felt like it was between them and Colorado. I am out on both of them. I'm out on both of them. Utah is too dependent on his quarterback. And I feel like if you're going to be a team like Utah, at some point, you got to trust the situations you're in. I don't think you need this kid for another year. Why is he coming back if he does come back? You're keeping this team in a holding pattern to grow and to actually bring in. It hurts your recruiting too because you got these young kids that's coming, freshman quarterbacks and all this shit that probably wants to come to Utah, and then they see that this 8 year fucking senior, this what 8 fucking years, bro. That means he's been a senior for an additional 4 years. The fuck am I keeping you for? It just I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And yeah, Utah, Utah. Best thing for Utah is that the teams in front of them lose, but Utah is so I don't get them. I don't get them. Losing this past week. It's just like, yeah, this is not good. This is not good. My crazy six. 6 teams that I picked in college. I think are the 6 best team in college to me. Number one, started off, said number one, and that's obvious. Texas. Uh, Texas is number one. I'm gonna just be honest. My first two teams have not changed. Texas is one. 6-0, beat the shit out of Oregon. I mean, out of Oklahoma, 34-3. Oklahoma, I have said on numerous occasions on my podcast, they are Missouri, they are Texas A&M. It's going to take them a minute to actually understand the SEC. They have to recruit actual SEC players. They're not ready for the SEC, and that was against Texas, and they got their ass whooped. It was bad, man. That was a bad game. But Texas showed up and showed out in that game. Now we shall see this weekend. They play Georgia. Georgia's looking to redeem themselves after losing to Alabama a couple weeks ago. We shall see how that's going to play out. I'll talk about that game in a couple minutes. Number two, like I said, it hasn't changed, and that's Miami. Miami was on a bye last week, so I couldn't really talk about them. 6-0. They go to Louisville, which is going to be an interesting fucking game, especially how Miami has played, particularly in their last two fucking games. They have literally sleptwalked in the first half of the California game. And the Virginia Tech game was just them playing down to that competition pretty much. What are you gonna do in this Louisville game? You cannot come out there and do the same shit. Excuse me. Louisville's a good team. They're not like California. As good as California has been this year, as good as Cal has been this year, Louisville is really fucking good. And you're going to Louisville. You can't just sleepwalk your way through this game. You're gonna have to show up. And you just had a bye week. You better be fucking ready. But you're number two. And for anybody out there still also with this dumbass fucking takes that people are taking right now, Cam Ward is the best quarterback in college football. I do not give a fuck about what you're talking about. You will not sell me Shador Sanders, Quentin Ayers, or Carson fucking Beck. Fuck out of here. Cam Ward is the best fucking quarterback in college football. Just because now you talking about the man's height, and now you talking about this, and now you talking about that. Cam Ward's the best quarterback in college football. Draft Shador Sanders, then draft Cam Ward. Let's really see how this shit about to play out. Because I'm telling you right now, you can't do that shit Shador does in the NFL. What Cam Ward does, Cam Ward plays in Cam. Like I told my brother Juan last week, Cam Ward is bored in games. The moment it stops, the moment it becomes exciting, the dude is a Heisman. Dude is the Heisman. He's the Heisman winner. Like, man, come on, man. Number three, and that's Oregon beating Ohio State 32-31. Again, again, it's neutral field. Ohio State probably takes it, but it wasn't a neutral field. It was in Oregon, and you lost to Oregon, Ohio State. It was not a neutral field. So Oregon wins. This Friday they play Purdue. Purdue is such a weird fucking team in the Big Ten. Congratulations, Oregon. You're about to meet that team where you're coming off of a massive win. Your energy is so fucking high up that you walk into the second you start to Purdue. Now, I'm not saying they lose to Purdue. That's not what I'm about to say. But I do believe Purdue could catch them. It's a Friday night, so it's a short week technically for you. It's a Friday night. You're going into Purdue. Purdue has pulled off some upsets the last couple of years in the Big Ten. So do not sleepwalk your ass through this game, Oregon, or you may lose. So yeah, number four, that's Penn State, 6-0. They're on a bye this week, but last week Penn State beat USC. They went into overtime, but they beat USC. This is the thing about Penn State. I can't wrap my head around. You won, congrats. But it's just like Oregon, just like Ohio State. It's something about them. I can't get behind. I don't know what it is. I can't get behind these fucking teams. I've seen Penn State too many times in my life have a really good team, and then they play one good team, and then that shit just went to the wayside. They forgot how to run the ball, or the throwing shit they were doing in the first 7 weeks didn't work no more, or just it's something like it. I don't know. I don't know how to really say it. You're 6-0, but again, you haven't really played anyone. And when you did finally play someone, you almost lost. And that's the thing. Like, it's such a weird. I feel like Oregon beat Ohio State Oregon, Penn State beats Oregon. Ohio State beats Penn State, and then we're just gonna be like, well, what the fuck? The fuck was that? It feels like it's gonna be one of them seasons. Like you just be like, they beat them, but they beat them, and they beat them, and that's how the Big Ten is gonna go. Luckily for them, it's a 12-team playoff, so they're going to fall into the playoffs. But I still don't think that's a good thing because then you're gonna play against a team, and you're gonna probably get run off the field, and then you're just gonna be like, well, what the fuck was that? That's been Penn State the whole year. You just didn't see it, but they're for it. Congratulations. Number 5 is Clemson, 5-1. They beat the shit out of Wake Forest last week, 49 to like 14. It was bad. Um, they have finally found a rhythm with this team. Finally, Dabo has finally found a rhythm. Um, they play against Virginia this week. Virginia's also one of those sneaky ass teams that can kind of catch you off guard. They have a really good team. They got a really good defense. They got some running game. They could do enough. I think Clemson wins, but it's a game you should definitely pay attention to if you are a Clemson fan because those are one of those games where you sleepwalk through it and then you lose and you're like, what the fuck? So yeah. And number 6 is Iowa State. They're 6-0 and they play UCF. They went from possibly losing a game earlier this year to Iowa to stealing it with a last second field goal. To stealing it with a last second field goal. And then just going on a fucking rampage. They are destroying teams. Iowa State has always been a really good team, really good coach team. But this is the team I was talking about in the Big 12. Utah, Utah. You got Arizona now in the Big 12. You got all these teams in the Big 12. Colorado, Kansas State, Iowa State. Because and usually they had to run up against you know Oklahoma or Texas, and they never really got a chance. I think Iowa State could break through the ceiling this year. I think Iowa State could actually win the Big 12 this year. Now, how would that look going into the college playoffs? Now, that's the intriguing part. I think Big 12 can actually be won by Iowa State this year because they're one of those teams that's been in the Big 12 for so long, and they just have been just constantly just waiting for their opportunity. And they had to play against that Oklahoma team or that Texas team, and they just could not win that game. You don't have that anymore in the Big 12. Utah is okay. Arizona is losing now. BYU's pretty good, but you don't really know what BYU will really physically be when it's all said and done. Colorado defense is terrible. It's been terrible. They can't fucking stop anybody. And like I said, don't get last week fooled by Shador Sanders. I've seen him fold more times than he's actually performed. Kansas State is kind of the only competition for Iowa State in the goddamn Big 12. And that's saying a lot. So I think Iowa State could walk through the Big 12 the next couple games. Um, I think they play Colorado if I'm not mistaken. But I got Iowa State winning the Big 12, man. I think they're well coached. They're well coached. They're very well versed in defense and offense. They have a really good team. I think them not losing to Iowa might have been the worst thing for the Big 12 because they are going to walk through the Big 12. And they're going to walk through the bitches. So, yeah, Iowa State is 6. Eyes on college football. Week 8. It's crazy that we're in week 8, bro. Like, we are flying through college football right now. This shit is nuts. Last week was fucking crazy, but this week is going to be nuts, man. Skeptical game of the week, my most interesting game of the week, my upset game of the week, and of course my game of the week. Let's do this. My skeptical game of the week is Miami going to Louisville. Like I said, the last 2 weeks have made me a little bit more careful about how I look at Miami. They cannot have these, oh, we can just turn it on when we feel like it moments. That shit is not good. That literally makes me feel like you don't really care about the competition that you're playing against, which makes me think you really do think you're just the best team. Now that's a great thing, but if you're dominating these teams, it's a whole different conversation. And that's the thing. Miami hasn't had that dominant victory since Florida, to be honest with you. Like, since the Florida game. That Florida game was so fucking dominant. And it just put Miami right on the map. It was like, whoa, what is this? But they kind of took a minute against, South Florida. And it took a minute, in certain games. And the last 2 weeks against Virginia Tech and Cal, I'm starting to get a little worried about you motherfuckers. Like, can you push the tempo here? Can you try to actually show up in these games? Miami's a very good team. I do not think Miami's a bad team. I think Miami though sleepwalks through games because, like I said, Cam Ward, as great as Cam Ward is, his talent is so great that I can see him get bored in games because he's just like, there's nothing here for me. What the fuck am I doing? He looks for a challenge, and that's not good. That's not good. Um, but at the end of the day, Louisville's a really good team. Going to Louisville too, yeah, that's a very shaky game for where they're at right now. So yeah, I got this game as my skeptical game. I think Miami pulls it off, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. I'll be honest. The most interesting game of the week is Alabama and Tennessee. Two teams that 2 weeks ago won, what, 3 weeks ago really, were on top of the world, and now in 2 weeks you lose. Alabama to Vanderbilt, and Tennessee to Tennessee lose to Arkansas. You lose 2 weeks ago, both on the road, and then last week you have a scare again. You almost lose in those two games. South Carolina, Alabama beats them by 2 points. Tennessee goes into overtime with Florida and beats them in overtime. So now you have 2 straight weeks now where you lost, and then you have a scare. So the question really does become, who the fuck wins this game? Who wins this game? And that's the thing. I think Tennessee wins. Here's the reason why I say that. I have no trust in Alabama's defense. Their offense is amazing. Their defense is suspect as shit. their, their defense is suspect as shit. That defense reminds me of Washington's defense last fucking year. Bend, but don't break. But when you're playing teams that have a very unique offense, you're probably gonna bend more than you break. I mean, you're gonna probably break more than you bend. And Tennessee just has to catch a couple of big plays on Alabama and kill them. As good as Alabama is, Alabama is really good. I think Tennessee is just a little bit better. But this is gonna be a fucking good game. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a fucking game. It is in Tennessee. And last time Alabama did go to Tennessee, by the way, Tennessee beat Alabama. People forget that Tennessee beat Alabama last time Alabama went to Tennessee. So it's gonna get interesting. Upset of the week, upset game of the week is my LSU Tigers versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. Listen, if you heard me talk about them on my Bleed Purple and Gold episode right after they beat Ole Miss, uh, I said this shit. Uh, LSU's one-dimensional offense. You can't do that. You can't have a one-dimensional offense. Congratulations, you beat Ole Miss. But if that defense, and listen, like I've always said, I'm not like everybody else. I see a game and now I think that the team is fixed. Fuck no. If the defense is consistently doing this, I then we have a different conversation. But the offense has to run the football, and that is where the problem lies. Because I do not think these motherfuckers trust their running game. And when, like I said Saturday, if you have two top 15 offensive linemen supposedly, and you don't run the football, that's something wrong with that. LSU's a good team, really good team. I just have little to no faith with this team sometimes. I'm not like a lot of fans where I'm just blind to a win. No, that's a lot of problems with that shit. Do I think this LSU team is better than the last couple of teams we've had since the 2019-20 team when we won a national championship? You're fucking right. I think this is a way better team than those teams. But the running the ball element of this team is fucking disturbing to me. And going on the road against Arkansas, and the last time we were on the road was South Carolina. And we barely beat them. And ironically enough, that was the best game we ran the fucking football in. That was our best ball, like running the ball game this whole year. If we can actually be consistent defensively and run the ball consistently, with Gary Nessmeyer throwing the ball like he's throwing it, we can win this game. But I have no faith in that because I have no faith in Brian Kelly. Arkansas is always a questionable team against us. Arkansas is a really good fucking team this year. Don't let the record fool you. Arkansas is a really good fucking team. They had some games this season already where they were very close. And like I just said, they finally broke through and they beat Tennessee a couple weeks ago in Arkansas. We can go in there trying to, try to settle pace and all that shit. Arkansas could beat us. And I'm always concerned when we go to Arkansas. Arkansas is always that team that kind of catches us off guard. After a win like that last week, Arkansas could beat us. So that is why I say this is my upset game of the week. I'm not a crazy motherfucker. I know what it is. In my game of the week is clearly Georgia, Texas. It's clearly Georgia, Texas. This is really what it is. Is Georgia is Georgia still a championship contending team? Or is Texas as good as we think they are? It's one of the two to me. Is Texas actually as good as we think they are? Because this is really Texas' first real SEC opponent. Don't get it twisted. Like this is the first real SEC opponent for them actually in the SEC. The beauty for Texas is it's at home, so it covers you up. But Georgia just was on the road against Alabama and lost. Georgia's going to come in there. You're the newbie in SEC. You're the number one team in the country right now. We gonna beat your ass, and that's what Georgia's going to establish. Now, what is Texas moving forward is going to be interesting. It's one of those. Is Georgia still a championship caliber team? You lost to Alabama, now you just lost to Texas, which means, by the way, also you kind of now just eliminated yourself from the SEC because there is no more divisions. There is no more SEC East. There is no more SEC West. So if you lose to Texas, you just lost to Alabama in Texas. That's two losses right there in the SEC. So now you have to hope LSU lose. That's teams in front of them. LSU gotta lose. Alabama's gotta lose 2 games straight now in the SEC. Alabama's got to lose another game in the SEC, but they hold a tiebreaker over you because they beat you. So that doesn't even make sense. Like, you lose this game, Georgia loses this game, you're pretty much out the SEC championship game. And I know, it don't matter nowadays because we got the you know the 12 team playoff, but seeding would matter, and that's the thing. Yeah, Georgia might make it, but where do you play now? Because now you're not in control of where you're seeding. Now you could have been the one or the two or the three seed or the four seed. Now you're the 10th. Now you're the 11th. Now you're the 12th. See, this is the thing about the seeding. It's like, yeah, people are gonna sit there and say, "Oh, but Brandon, the Georgia's still gonna make the college playoffs." Yeah, but that's not the point. You want to still show you're dominant in the SEC, and if you lose to Texas and you lost to Alabama, your destiny now lies in the fate of everyone in front of you, and depending on particularly how all these other teams fall, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, somebody's got to win the Big Ten. And then you still have Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. Those are the three right there. That's three teams right there. You still got two teams in the ACC, Clemson or Miami, depending on how far they go in the season. If Clemson ends the season 11 and 1 and play Miami, who's 12-0, you gonna leave one of them out of the college playoffs for Georgia? You see what I'm saying? And it's the same thing on the flip side for Texas. It's like this is the first time you actually have to play a real actual SEC team that actually has everything you have. Now, granted, I do not think Carson Beck is a good quarterback like everybody thinks he is. I don't think he is. What is interesting about this game for Georgia, for Texas, is you're going to finally see who's your number one. Is it Quentin Ayers or is it Archie Manning? Because if Quentin Ayers goes out there and does what he did immediately in that Oklahoma game, which was throw a fucking pick, you do that shit against Georgia, you're going to lose. see, this ain't Oklahoma. You do that shit against Georgia, they're going to make you pay. So this is the thing. Like, that is going to be an interesting fucking game. I am looking very forward to this fucking game because that is going to be an interesting one. Because Texas has to prove they are the SEC now. They are in the SEC. They're not going to get bullied by Georgia. But Georgia also has to prove, yo, we still are a championship caliber team. We can beat these motherfuckers. We can go in there and beat their ass. And like I said, this is more on Georgia now because Georgia fate falls immediately if they lose this game because now you're not in control of the SEC. You're barely in control now. Imagine losing to Texas and Alabama. And no matter how it goes, you don't have the tiebreaker over either one of them. So if all of y'all end up with two losses in the SEC, them two play each other, regardless of how it goes, because you lost to both of them already. And then on top of that, the seeding in the playoffs. This is Georgia's make or break game. This is why it's exciting because this is really Georgia's make or break game. It's gonna be interesting. Like I am looking forward to this. All right, before I get into the NFL, gotta talk about these trades going on with the NFL, man. Ah, good God Almighty. All right, so two trades have happened. Two receivers have been traded. Flip. Excuse me. Two receivers stand in the AFC, just moving to different teams. Devontae Adams is officially a New York Jet. He got traded this morning. Flip for a third rounder, conditional second rounder if I guess if they make the playoffs. I don't know how that. I gotta look at it. Um, and Amari Cooper is going from Cleveland to Buffalo, which means Cleveland is clearly starting to pretty much sell everyone. which, which pretty much means Cleveland is clearly selling everyone. So it's starting to look a little interesting in Cleveland. Um, how do I feel about these trades? If you ask me right now who has the better situation, who went to the better situation, it's Amari Cooper, and it's not even close. Amari Cooper, he went to the best. He went to the better situation. I know people are gonna sit there and think I'm crazy or delusional, whatever the case may be. I have no faith in Buffalo, and I have no faith in the Jets. But if you ask me right now, Buffalo has more stability than the Jets do. Buffalo has more stability than the Jets do, and that's the thing. Amari Cooper can now go to Buffalo and be the number one guy. He does not have to do too much. He just has to go and be the number one guy. But what it also does is it gives the rookie Keon Coleman, who as good as he can be, the one thing about him in college was he can't separate. But now you put him maybe in as the number two guy who's not on the who doesn't have the number one corner, or maybe even crazier, the slot guy who's a little slotter, a little smaller than he usually is, and you could just go to go crazy on them guys because Keon Coleman's height and his ability to get the fuck in certain situations. Amari Cooper comes in and helps that offense way easier than Devontae Adams comes in and helps the Jets. Now, people are gonna sit there and say, "Well, the Jets they got Devontae Adams, which means this is about to help the Aaron Rodgers is 41 fucking years old. There is no fixing this shit with the Jets. People I saw I already heard people this morning being like, "Oh my God, did you see the Jets run the ball last night? They're finally running the run. They're finally getting the running game." Bitch, you played Buffalo, who sucks at stopping the run. Did you not see the last 2 weeks? have you have you not seen the last 2 weeks of Buffalo? Buffalo let Derrick Henry run for damn near 100 yards on their ass. You let Joe Mixon and them run for 100 yards on their ass. What the fuck are y'all talking about? What are you watching? What do y'all be seeing, bro? Buffalo is not good at stopping the run. What are we watching? The defense of the Jets is actually taking a step backwards because you got rid of the best defensive coordinator on the team. So the Jets are going to score what, 27 points now? 30 points? But give up 33 or 34? It looks amazing on paper. Both of these teams look amazing on paper. But eventually you're going to have to put that shit on a football field. If you ask me right now, Buffalo, on the football field sense, looks a little bit better because they have stability. The Jets have none. What you just did was bring in Devontae Adams, who also is fucking hard headed. Because if I was Devontae Adams, I'm like, fuck Derek Carr, fuck Aaron Rodgers, fuck the Jets, fuck the Saints. Get my ass in Washington today. Put me in Washington right the fuck now with Scary Terry and Jay Daniels. Motherfucker, put me on that team right now. Fuck that. Nigga, send me to Pittsburgh. Fuck that. Nigga, put me in Baltimore. The fuck are you talking about? Give me Baltimore tomorrow, nigga. What you mean? Trade my ass to Baltimore. Get me the fuck out of here. Are you serious? Nigga, I would have been gone. Like, nigga, trade me to Washington. The fuck you mean? Nah, bro. Nah, nah, nah. Devontae Adams is fucking hard headed. But again, people gonna sit there and lie. Oh, the Jets are great. Oh, the Jets are. You watched last night's game. Both of them teams suck. Both of them teams are terrible. Y'all blaming the fuck. And Rodgers blaming Mike Williams for why he underthrew the football. It didn't say he ran the wrong route. No, bitch, you threw the ball the wrong way. The fuck you talking about? Fuck out of here, man. Congratulations to both teams, but fuck out of here. Anyway, big four of the NFL. My big four of the NFL. This is my power rankings, I guess if you want to call it that. I'm not doing like 20 different teams. Fuck that shit. That's ridiculous. My big four of the NFL. Coming into this upcoming week. Let's get into it, man. Number one, with a bullet, is the Detroit Lions. At 4-1, they play the 6-0 Minnesota Vikings. Detroit uh was the definition Sunday of belt to ass. That was the Detroit was the definition of belt to ass Sunday to the Dallas Cowboys. God Almighty, 47-9, which makes it even funnier and just more beautiful. Was it was Jerry Jones' birthday? it was it was it was Jerry Jones' birthday. 47 points got put up in yo Jerry's world. Oh my god. And it wasn't your team. Damn. Detroit is some disrespectful ass people. Like yo them niggas, yo Detroit Lions are some disrespectful ass people. These niggas know how the last game ended between them and Dallas a year ago. Offensive lineman comes in, says he's eligible, literally does it in front of the ref. The ref pretends like he didn't see it. Okay. What Detroit do? They do some fuck shit. And they start they start lining up like an offensive lineman. Yo, this is some disrespectful shit, bro. That shit is so disrespectful. They start lining up offensive linemen just to fuck with Dallas, bro. This shit was disrespectful, bro. I have never laughed so hard in my life watching this shit. I really do believe that Penny Sewell touchdown was a touchdown. Fuck out of here, man. Y'all talk about something. Man, he was down. The offensive lineman was down. Get the fuck out of here, man. They did, bro. They were doing disrespectful shit to Dallas, bro. Like, they was so fucking wrong. Oh my god, it was so funny. Oh my god, it was the best football game ever. Oh my god. I will say this though, Aiden Hutchinson, man, Aiden Hutchinson would be my defensive player of the year right now. The man was literally a sack every day. Every game he played, he was a sack, at least 2 sacks a game. Broke his leg. He's out for the year. When the man literally mouths, I broke my leg. Like I broke it. Like what I do believe is this: Detroit definitely do need to call the Jets. They need to call the Jets. Get a sign Reddick, or if you actually do believe you can, or if you like the Rams general manager and say fuck them picks, you go call the Raiders. You go call the Browns. You see if you can get Max Crosby. You see if you can get Myles Garrett. You clearly see the Raiders and the Browns are both in this mindset of might be time to rebuild. So if that is the case, or wait till Thursday and see if you get Chase Young from the Saints. You know, he's on a 1 year deal. See if you get Chase Young from the Saints. I mean, you know, but you definitely do need another pass rusher. You need to replace Aiden Hutchinson. You can't really replace him, but you need to find a way to replace him. So yeah. But the Lions are 4-1, and they're number one with a bullet. I can't wait till Sunday to see how this is going to look. Minnesota and Detroit. This is literally for first place in the NFC North. So it's gonna be interesting. Number two, and that's Houston, 5-1. Um, They will be in Green Bay this week. That's gonna be good. Um, Went into New England, beat that ass, 41-21. Um, Listen, man, Houston. I have said numerous times that the Lions and the Texans are my Super Bowl. I just think them two are above others. Houston to me is the best team in the AFC. Better than Baltimore. Better than Kansas City. I think Houston's the best team in the AFC. Um, if they could get the running game healthy, keyword healthy, you can't stop their offense. Nico Collins is out for a while, and that's another one. But when he comes back, and you can run the ball, and you get that offensive line up and running, and that now that defense is starting to kind of get their rhythm. Daenerys Hunter, Will Anderson. You got to realize they about to get the Nico Archery, who's also a linebacker pass rusher. So now you having Will Anderson, Daenerys Hunter, and Denico Archery playing. Like, bro, that's disturbing. Like, no man, no man. Houston is the best team in the AFC, and then number two on my list. Number three is the Baltimore Ravens. Close game with the Washington Commanders, man. Really good game. Shout out to Jay Daniels. I had said for a while, once the Baltimore Ravens really figure out how to use Derrick Henry, that's an unstoppable fucking offense. Because it's literally the definition of pick your motherfucking poison. It is truly the definition of pick your motherfucking poison. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Now, because you're so afraid of them two in the box, you're putting everybody in the box, which is now leaving Zay Flowers one on one with motherfuckers, which he's now getting 100 yards receiving every fucking game. This is the thing about Baltimore. This is dangerous. This is why I said if I was Devontae Adams, I would have went to fucking Baltimore. But 4-2 this weekend, they're on the road. This Monday night against Tampa. That's gonna be a fucking game. Lamar Jackson barely loses to the NFC, so it's gonna be an interesting fucking game. But I can't wait, man. 4-2, man. And at number four on my list is the Green Bay Packers. They're also 4-2, and like I said, they host the Houston Texans. Better performance by the defense of Green Bay. Um, if you were to tell me right now, because every team in the NFC North has a winning record, if I had to list the four teams in the NFC North, my list would be Detroit 1, Green Bay 2, Minnesota 3, Chicago 4. That's it. That would be the list. Green Bay, before Jordan Love got hurt, I thought would be good. Be really fucking good. I actually thought Lions and Green Bay would be either the NFC Championship game. The Lions and Green Bay would be either the NFC Championship game or at least a divisional game. I still feel that way. I think the Commanders are gonna probably fuck that up somehow, some way, but that's just me. Um, but Sunday is going to be a telltale sign for both teams. Houston, the only loss you have is against Minnesota, and it was a blowout. It was an ass whooping, but it was in Minnesota. You have to go on the road and you have to beat a good team. For Green Bay, this is the first time you playing a team since Jordan Love has come back healthy. I don't count the Minnesota game because that was his first game. This is the first time you're playing an actual team that is good with Jordan Love since Philly. What are you gonna be? This could also be a Super Bowl preview. So it's gonna be an interesting fucking game. Levels of warning of the NFL. Here we go. Yellow is caution, orange is panic time, and red is DOA. Yellow, caution. It's the Eagles. 3-2. They beat the Browns this past Sunday, but okay. For the last 2 weeks, I've been on rants somewhat. I guess that's what these people say nowadays. It was a rant. The Jets, Buffalo. Hello, Eagles. Come on down. Let me talk to you. Fire Nick Sirianni. Fire him. Get him the fuck out your team. He is the most immature fucking head coach in the NFL. And with all of that talent that you have, you barely beat the fucking Browns. What? You barely beat the fucking Browns off of a bye at home with returning fucking pieces like Devontae Smith, AJ fucking Brown, and Lane Johnson, and you barely beat the Browns. In the end of the game, you win the game. Congratulations, you win the game. Your head coach decides to walk from where he was on the fucking sideline to the crowd and start talking shit to the crowd. You're at home talking shit to the home crowd. What the fuck? Are you serious? I have seen Philly fire better head coaches than this fucking dude. I have seen Philly fire Andy Reid. That man brought you to 5 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl, and you fired him. I saw you fire Doug Peterson. He actually won you a Super Bowl because he told you Carson Wentz is not the best option for us at quarterback. Jalen Hurts is. Where's Carson Wentz? And you gonna sit there. And here's the crazy part. Not one Eagles fan is probably gonna disagree with me when this comes out. Not one. He's fucking immature. You can clearly fucking see it. This kid, he's a kid. The dude might be 40 some years old. He's a fucking kid. He clearly got his dream job and he doesn't know how to handle it. There's no way in hell I watch this shit. And this man is. It'd be one thing if he's done this one time and it just somehow, some way it happened. This motherfucker did this at the Super Bowl. Oh, y'all forget that. This motherfucker was talking shit to Kansas City. You remember that shit? When they was in the Super Bowl, this motherfucker was talking to the crowd at the Super Jalen Hurts had to be like, hey, bro, chill. What the fuck is you doing? It's shit like that, man. Listen, bro. Philly has outgrown this fucking dude. Jalen Hurts don't even fucking acknowledge him. Me and my brother Juan talked about this last Wednesday. We were like, I literally said it'd be funny as hell if they come off the bye and lose to Cleveland because then Nick Sirianni would get fired. You survive another week. Congratulations. But there's nothing about Philly. And Philly is one of the most talented fucking teams in the NFL. There is no way in hell you watch Philly, this roster that they have, and you cannot sit up there and tell me they can't go one on one with any team in the NFL. They will beat that ass. But the coaching matters. And Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff, it's not fucking good. And it's okay. It's okay to cut ties with a motherfucker. Philly may or may not make the playoffs. But what is it going to take for you to cut this motherfucker loose? Because there's no way in hell you're at home and you're mad at the crowd for booing you because you can't call plays. and you're fucking immature. Nah, man. Orange, panic time. And that's the Arizona Cardinals, 2-4. Um, Listen, I had Arizona winning, at least getting into the playoffs this year. I thought they'd be better than they are this year. But at the same time, they're young. They're missing a couple of pieces. Uh, they're a draft or two away. I truly believe that. I will say this though, James Conner, who everybody had for dead a couple years ago, this man has revitalized his career in Arizona. This man has revitalized his career in Arizona. He has become one of the best running backs that nobody talks about because he's in Arizona, so you don't really see him and you don't really know where he's at. But I'm telling y'all, man, this man has revitalized his career. Going from a Pittsburgh situation where he had to pretty much replace Le'Veon Bell to now becoming, um, you know, to now becoming uh, pretty much the most, um, pretty much sometimes become Arizona's whole fucking offense. James Conner's having an incredible season, but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it because he's in Arizona, but he's one of those pieces that I think that is very um, that doesn't get talked about enough. Arizona, I do believe, give them another year or two, and they'll be ready. They'll be ready. The two wins they do have are against San Francisco and the Rams. So just saying. Um, Listen, I don't know what the fuck the Raiders are. I don't know. I had to ask my brother Juan that. I think they tried to give Gardner Minshew the chance earlier in the season because he was the veteran. Me personally, I would have let Aiden O'Connell start just to see. I don't want Antonio Pierce to get fired because he's on his first real year as a head coach. But you got Max Crosby walking off the field and pushing coaches, and now Devontae Adams is gone. It's only a matter of time for people to look at you and start calling for your job. And it's not your fault. It really isn't your fault, man. But I do believe this draft that happened, it was a train is a it's a chain reaction, and I really do believe if the draft would have went the way it was supposed to go, the Raiders probably would have ended up with Michael Penix Jr. And that's a different conversation. But since we are in the world we're in, and it did go the way it went, drafted Brock Bowers, as good as Brock Bowers has been, looks a little weird. It looks a little weird now because you think about the receivers. Everybody knew it was really just three receivers. You know, Rome Medusa, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. But you still could have took a defensive player, offensive lineman. The Raiders still had a really good draft. It just feels like the Raiders they burnt out on his team, and they have to also commit to a rebuild. They have to commit to a rebuild. And I don't know if they're willing. I don't know. I mean, you just traded Devontae Adams. It's not like you have a choice. But if you do decide to trade Max Crosby, the rebuild needs to start. You need to just go ahead and say, fuck it, excuse me, and get the rebuild going. So, yeah, that's the end, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be back next week. More football, more college football, more NFL. They probably will have a winner in the women's WNBA. The World Series should be starting around this time next week. If not, it'll be game sixes and sevens. You got hockey going on. Basketball will be back next week, and I'll be doing my preview show this weekend. Yeah, a lot of shit going on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next week. Till next time, I am Brandon Janeau. This is I Bleed Sports. Peace.